so awesome. Thank you. Will you play my side? I'm so freaking excited to be here. How's everyone feeling? Awesome. Awesome, awesome. We're multitasking because we're running a little bit behind. How long have you guys been on your spiritual journey?
Long time.
What's a long time? How many years?
25 years.
25 years.
10 days.
10 days? Michelle, I know it's been longer than that. 25 years. Anybody longer?
40 years.
40 years. Yeah, baby. 12,000 fucking years. Yes, I said that on camera. We're going to edit that. Woo! How many of you have busted through your upper limits, your barriers? How many are familiar with what the hell that is? Yes, 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 yes. Who does not know what upper limits is or your barriers? Who does not? Sweet.
I got it recorded.
Okay. I'm going to do this. So in 2012, I went through my first divorce, my kid's dad. It was one of the most painful things I've experienced. And then I left the religion of my youth, the Mormon religion that everyone knows here. And my God died. And God was connected to the earth, to the lands, the mountains. And I got to really sit in that and let that part of me die. And as I was sitting in that space, I kind of put out a call to the universe. I didn't know what existed, but I knew there was something there. So I got to sit in that space. All right, God, source, the divine. I will walk through any door that presents itself, but then I get the choice to turn around and walk back out. At the time, I was running a clothing company called Modbod, and it's a Mormon-based clothing company, if anybody knows what that is. And I had hired a salesperson, and I took her to lunch to get to know her a little better. And as we're talking, she says she's a shaman, and I should come to the medicine wheel in Sandpoint, Idaho. And I'm like, oh shit, I just said I would walk through any door. I had no idea what it was at the time. I walked through the door. I ended up stepping into this transformational process. It was one of the most amazing things I've been through in my life at the time. And I woke up. I came home to me. And as I went through this process, I ended up becoming a practitioner. And there was one time that as I was thinking about what I wanted to speak to today with the breaking barriers, as a fly flies in my face, there was one class where the teacher had asked for a volunteer. And my hand instantly went up. I'm like, oh crap. You know, sometimes you have those body responses. You're like, I did not mean that. Take it back, pull it down. So like everything inside of me is like, shit, I get to be fully seen in whatever's about to come up. So I sit in front of the class. Her name was Berta Kuhnel, beautiful woman. And she proceeds to walk me through these different pieces. And she says, what's in your own way, Amanda? And the first thing that came to my mind, me. How many times throughout our entire lives, and I forgot I have slides. Will you hit the next one? How many times throughout our lives have we bumped up against this, we are our own worst enemies? Who's hit that? Yeah. Every single one of us. And I'll explain why. If you don't believe that, I'll explain why. By the time we're done with this, you'll probably believe me. Maybe you won't. It's okay if you don't. So I want to guide you guys all through a little process for just a moment, if you will. So wherever you're at, if you can just close your eyes, inviting you just to take a few deep breaths, quieting the mind, and allowing you to call in all of your energy at this time. Imagine it like tendrils of light, calling it in, taking a breath, and then sending out any energy that's not yours, letting it go. And in this space, inside you, I want you to imagine your life the way that you wish it to be. If you could write a story right now of what your life is, I want you to visualize, what would you be doing for a living? What would you be creating? Where would you live? What would your partner look like? Is there children? What is the family? Allow yourself to see this storybook of your life, of what you truly desire, to come and open up in front of you now. Maybe even seeing the pages turn. Allowing you to fully visualize what you desire. And now I want you to imagine this image that you're looking at it. I want you to imagine stepping into that version of you. So now you're looking through your own eyes. Feeling the sensation of everything that you're desiring. Feeling it in the body. Seeing it through the eyes. Hearing it. Utilizing all your senses. Be totally present in that space, in that image. And as you're in this space, notice right now where you feel resistance in the body. Maybe it's in your belly, your hands, your feet, your knees, your back. Wherever that place is, I'm going to invite you to imagine inviting that space within you to step out of the body. See it coming in front of you and allow it to take on a figure, looking like a person in front of you. See that part of you that you're in most resistance to. Look at him or her. And ask it, what are you afraid of? And allow it to respond to you the way the mind works. When we ask a question, we get an answer. Notice the response. Right now we're just going to catalog that. If there's something at this time, with whatever the response is, if there's something at this time that you can give to that aspect, I want you just to energetically give it to that aspect. And then with love and honoring and seeing this aspect of you that has worked and tried so hard and has kept you alive. You're breathing, you're here. Honor it. Be grateful for it. And then allow it to step back in. Coming back into the here and the now. For those of you who have your eyes closed, you can open them. How many of you, that part of you, felt afraid? Felt scared? What were they afraid of? Do you mind sharing? Hurt. Beautiful. Anybody else? Lonely? Hall, did you have one? Shame. Anybody else in the back?
Outgrowing loved ones. Afraid.
Ooh,
Being my child.
Outgrowing loved ones.
Failing.
Failing. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Can you get the next slide? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
They were afraid to step into my power as a child. Free.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And calling you into the here and the now at this time. I am here, I am here, I am here. For those of you who are not. Whew. We create our own glass ceilings. And we want to bust through, right? And yet our subconscious mind, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, what the hell the subconscious mind is, creates these glass ceilings. Why? If anybody had to guess, why do we create ceilings? Safety. Safety, 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 safety. Beautiful. Next slide. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes. Who knows this quote? Marianne Williamson. Our greatest fear, our deepest fear is that we are not inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light that scares us the most. Why? Anybody have thoughts on any of that? Why? Why is it our light? Yes?
Because that means you're big and you have to take up space.
Oh, you're big and take up space. Beautiful.
Because it hurts my third eye.
Okay, beautiful. For me, one of my pieces was, if I stand into the person and the being that I know that I am, I will have to be seen fully. If I'm seen fully, judgment, possibly losing loved ones, and I'm seen. Next slide. And yet what I have learned in my life is fear is usually the indicator to jump in with both feet. Granted, if you're going down an alleyway and you have this little, it feels scary, there's those indicators that are actually safety mechanisms in real life that we need to pay attention to. But energetically and spiritually, and when we're trying to go past those limits that we have created, if fear starts to come in, it is usually our indicator we are about to break through something massive. And that goal that we're setting out, that desire of who we want to be, the bigger that is, the bigger the fear. I was just listening to someone that was describing this, and I thought he did it so beautifully. He said, imagine that you want to speak on stage. You want to be seen. You want to be an author. You want to, whatever it is, you have these huge aspirations. Imagine that this is like this huge tree that grows up in the middle of this field. The bigger the tree, the bigger the shadow. The bigger the places within us that get to really go in and say, am I worthy to stand up there? What are my qualifications? Who am I? How many of those statements resonate with you? Most every single one of us carry the same limiting beliefs. Next slide. So our upper limits, it's fascinating. We create this mechanism of safety. We all know, we have our physical body, our mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. And all of those have anatomies. And as we go through, we create these upper limits and lower limits within ourselves, all for safety. If I stay here, it feels more comfortable. And as Michelle, my business partner, likes to say, it's familiar. We like the familiar. We like the known. Again, because it feels safe. And guess what? One of our main motivators of why we do anything in life is to keep us safe. So what happens if I start saying, hey, I want to step over here, and that feels scary? And then I want to step over here, and holy shit, am I going to be okay? So when you start, who knows the dark night of the soul? Everyone knows that phrase. Who has heard of upper limiting? A few. Upper limits can feel like, and often feel like, a dark night of the soul. All your limiting beliefs, all your fears start to come up and start to rattle right before you're about to break through that glass ceiling and break through those upper limits. But this is usually when most people give up. This is why there's a smaller percentage of those that are successful and have made it, because most people will take that as a reason to, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to step over here because this feels a little safer. I'm going to shrink a little bit because this feels scary. Next slide. Conscious mind. How many of you think your conscious mind is running the show? Most of us, because we're all spiritually minded and probably done a lot of our work, understand that the subconscious mind is really what's running the show. How do we understand what's running the show if it's subconscious? If it's hanging out below, if it's hanging out in the shadows. It's said that our subconscious mind takes in over more than 500,000 times more than what the conscious mind takes in. It's like 20 million bits of information that the subconscious mind takes in. The conscious mind's only like 126 bits. That's a huge difference. You're walking through the world and your subconscious mind is picking up every detail. And from the ages of 0 to 7 years old, 7 to 9, is when we form most of the beliefs of who we are and how we should operate in the world. Most of the motivation, again, is from safety. So, for those of us that have been raised in a religion, that's part of the safety mechanisms that were at play. If I do this, if I follow this, if I listen to someone else, somebody else's voice louder than mine, I'll be safe. It's a belief that was created, a limiting belief that kept me more powerless. So what happens when you start to step into these places and spaces within you, into more of the subconscious and watching patterns, watching things outside of us that are reflecting constantly what our inner state is. One of the most beautiful things about life is that life is always reflecting back to us what's going on internally. And we get so often caught up in the drama dynamics of what's happening in our world, and yet we are the creators of it. One of the reasons why I so loved my shamanic journey in 2013 when I first went through it, because that is where I saw, when I did my personal work, when I went through and healed deep wounds, my outer world shifted. And I've learned that over and over again. I see it with my clients, I see it with myself, and I'm constantly moving past these barriers. Next slide. Can you do next slide, please? Thank you. So what do you do? What is the magic formula? Everybody wants to know what the key is. One of the things that I've recognized the deepest, when we're bumping up against our upper limits and those places within us that start resisting the hell out of the place that we really want to go to, it's going to require us to take a leap into the unknown and let go of the version of us that we once knew. How scary does that feel? We have no idea what's on the other side. We have no idea if we're going to land on our feet. We have no idea if there's even going to be anywhere to land. And yet, how many of you have been asked to take a leap and you took it? And you're still here. So when your mind is in that space of, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, then that's where you get to say, hey, guess what? We've done this before. We're right here. So one of the biggest things you can do is be your own advocate. Parent yourself. Be the coach. We got this. We've done this. Yes, this feels really uncomfortable, but guess, it's going to feel uncomfortable. We've never been here before. And we're okay. We're okay. As I was really leaning into, originally I was going to speak on our stories, but this came through instead of breaking our barriers, which is beautiful because last night in the opening ceremonies I heard today's theme is freedom. And how often are we trying to break free of something that we created? I was leaning in and stepping into that space of, okay, what is the key? Like, how do we move through this? And one of the biggest things, we have to have faith in something bigger than ourselves. If you do not, it will be very difficult to take that leap. Who's familiar with Michael Singer? Probably a lot of people here. Surrender, right? Let go. When we try to control something, it again comes from a place of safety. I need to control, I need to keep this in order, I need to keep this in order. And yet, how many of you today would have imagined a year ago that you would be in this exact moment right here, right now? How many of you? Most of us will never predict 100% of where we're going. Even business owners, entrepreneurs, people that are setting their goals, saying this is what my projections are, this is where I want to go. I work with a lot of businessmen and women, and I ask them this every time. Not one has said they've hit it 100%. Not one. So if that's the case, why do we think that we can go through and predict and say this is exactly where I want to be in 5 years? I can paint a picture. I can embody the feeling of what I want, and then and chart my course to where I'm wanting to go. But more than likely, when I chart that course of where I want to go, it's going to require tools, maps I've never had before. I'm not going to know how to get there. So this is where that peace within us requires us to trust in something greater than ourselves. Whether it's your higher self, your God self, source, God, Heavenly Mother, whoever it is, there is an energy where we get to start pulling that in. And then we let go. Chart the course. Call in something that's greater than yourself. Parent the hell out of you. We got this. Be your biggest advocate. And then move. Take one step at a time. I wanted to, can you do the next slide, please? With this, there's these 2 QR codes. I don't know if it's going to work for you guys. These are 2 freebies that I've created. As we go through our journey in life, one of the things that's so fascinating, one of the things I loved about becoming a shamanic practitioner is we have these aspects of us. This is why I asked you to all call in your energy, pull all that in. It's because we have aspects that we're sending out all the time. And if we've had trauma or drama, we have parts of us that have separated out and are hanging out in that time. We know, probably most of us know, there's no such thing as time and space. That's why when we do work right now in the here and the now, it ripples out. It moves forward and backwards. Right now there's science that shows that it moves forward and backwards 7 years. But in this, there's also those parts of us that in order to go to where you're wanting to go, it's going to require you to let go of who you've been. And sometimes it will require letting go of friends, loved ones, dynamics that are no longer serving us. In my experience, I have moved through a lot of relationships. Relationships have been one of my biggest teachers. And it's so fascinating to me to witness with my most recent ex. I would not be standing on this stage if I was still in that relationship, if I was still in that partnership. He was a beautiful man. Beautiful. And I deeply, deeply still care and love him and how he supported me to the way that he could. But there got a point to where I knew that that was holding me back, and there was other dynamics I don't need to get into, that if I chose to stay, I would also choose to stay a smaller version of myself. And I wasn't willing to abandon me. How many times do we abandon ourselves for the sake of love, thinking that if I love someone, I should stay? And the truth is, the love that we're asking to experience, and we experience in every single aspect in our lives, is our love for ourselves that is asking to be seen, to be witnessed, to be felt. So if I were to abandon who I am for the sake of someone that I love, I forgot that it's important to love myself first. One of my relationships, that he was borderline personality disorder, that was my biggest lesson in that relationship. It did not matter if I loved him. It mattered that I loved me first. So as we move through life, and we get these tools and these teachers and these advocates and these friends and just different parts of us that we get to call in to assist us in supporting us in our journey of where we want to go, to become more God-informed, to become more sovereign beings, to become more full and into our wholeness. And remember, we're not broken. There is nothing, it's a remembrance of our wholeness that has been with us the entire time. It's just gently peeling back the layers. So in this there's a mini course of upper limits that I've created with my beautiful partner, Michelle. And then there's a death and birth process it is freaking amazing. Both courses are amazing. But as we're moving through, there's a lot of times aspects of us that get to be honored, to be seen, to be witnessed, and then put to rest. As a shaman, I'll actually see this part of them will start to float up above the body, and it's asking to be sent home. So this process that I've created is allowing, if it's feeling like it's a call for you, go step into that. Go put that part of you that has been kind of like, you're feeling like it's dead weight. You're still pulling on to her because, oh, I know her, and she was amazing, but I really am tired of holding on to this. I'm exhausted. Let her go. Let him go. And what's beautiful is when you do that, there's a new aspect that then gets to come in its place that is vibrant, that is full of energy, and he or she has the aspects that you're saying you want. But it requires you first to put to rest the part of you that's no longer serving. So I wanted to offer that as a freebie, as a tool, as a resource to supporting all of you amazing, beautiful humans, to getting you to where you want to go. And with that, That's it for me. I am going to be speaking and teaching at 3 o'clock about lifting the veils from religion and spirituality. Come find me if you want, or come find me in general. Come give me a freaking hug. I'm a hugger. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for being you. I'm sweaty.
Wow.